I wish. Oh, you know what? We could have done. We could have done the countdown. We could have done the countdown. We could just do it ourselves, though, like you just did.
3, 2,
1. Okay. Really anticlimactic when you don't have the numbers on the screen, but live casting with Lane. Happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody out there. We just decided to jump on today and chat a little bit. We have a very special guest sitting next to Lane, which Lane will introduce and tell you why she is here as well, Miss Reese. But we are going to listen to a part of the I Have a Dream speech by Dr. Martin Luther King, because it's Martin Luther King Day, and it's an awesome speech and just a way to honor him and honor the day a little bit. And then we'll get out of everybody's hair. But Mr. Lane Manning, Dream Lane Real Estate, happy MLK Day. Take it away, my friend.
Hoo-ah! So thank you, Dan, for live casting with us again. MLK Day, January 15th, which is his actual birthday, is an important day to me because that's the day I was also born. So from, 47? So for 47 years, I've always had that same birthday with the great Dr. Martin Luther King. So it's always been an incredible special day for me and obviously all people around the world. Today, when you said you want to have someone on, I was like, what about Reese? You just won an award. And it's funny because it's one of those watershed moments as a parent because she won something and I had no idea why. Just all of a sudden she got an award and she did great and her teachers recommended her. And I was like, oh, well, I'm glad she's.
What did you do? Yeah.
So I thought we'd take a quick moment today on MLK Day because the award is MLK based. I'll let her explain the majority of it, but and how you got it and stuff like that. I thought this was a perfect guest to have on at lunchtime today.
I couldn't be more honored. Miss Reese, take it away.
Okay, so basically,
what's your name?
Oh yeah, I'm Reese.
You're Reese. Number one buyer's agent at Dream Lane Real Estate, your next preferred.
In training.
In training. There's this MLK Junior Youth Outstanding Persons Award that they give out every year. I didn't know it was even a thing till this year, but
and who gives it? You know who gives it?
Yeah, the Urban League of Madison. Well,
yeah,
it's kind of different because basically it was teachers from my school recommended me. Like it was 2 people from each grade at my school and then at Badger Ridge and then every other school in like Madison area. And they picked 2 people from each grade that are like outstanding young people's award. The people that like excel in school or like are just like nice like achievers, I guess, for their grade. So there was my guidance counselor at my school emailed me saying that I was like nominated and I had to fill out this Google form on why I like deserve to win. And it was kind of like about like activities that you do outside of school and stuff like that, just to like, you had to just kind of show more about yourself. And then I won, and then they emailed me, and I filmed this video. It was like 1 or 2 seconds long, and then everyone that won submitted a video, and they kind of put them all together in little tidbits. And then yesterday there was this like live YouTube video thing, and it wasn't like the same because of COVID. Normally you go to like this dinner and you get like an award in front of everyone. Like, I don't know, you might do like a speech or something.
Yeah.
It was like a video and everyone got their own little like part of it, I guess, to show. You were supposed to show how you like celebrate or something that's like important to you. There was lots of TikTok dances, basketball, video games, people hanging out with their siblings and stuff. I did a clip of me playing volleyball, but I hit the wall, but I thought it was funny, so I put it in. And then they kind of put in like videos about like the Urban League, which is people who gave the award. It was kind of more like learning about them, I guess.
Yeah, to help promote them. So they what was the hardest part about you filling out that questionnaire when you had to talk? Was it when you had to talk about yourself? Like, was it just hard to pick something to talk about yourself? What was the hardest part of that? Yeah,
it was hard because I wanted to like seem professional and I wanted to be like seem good, I guess. So it was kind of hard to just
a little nerve-wracking.
And yeah, and then you only had so much time to do it, and you wanted to make sure that like you seem professional, I guess. So,
yeah.
So
well,
when
I
she's
commend you. I commend you for all the stuff you've helped around just at the office here and helped your pops out with their. I mean, you're fearless as far as I'm concerned. So from that standpoint, I mean, obviously, I know you're gushing with pride over their dad, you know, and everything else, but like, it's pretty amazing to see a young person like you just be able. Some of the videos you've helped us do with some of the fundraising, you know, some of the stuff that you guys just did for raising when we were doing the food banquet and, you know, raising funds for that. I think you're an awesome person. Congratulations. That's super cool.
Thanks.
The goal would be to try to get them used to this, right?
Yeah.
How many kids won? Because it was Urban League of Madison,
I think
which
it
is
was like, sorry.
no, it's like 250 kids.
Yeah, it was around 250 kids, but they weren't all in the video because some people I don't think submitted one. So at the end, It was like a bunch of names also. And I think the video's on YouTube if anyone wanted to watch it. I'm not sure. I think it's like the MLK Youth Outstanding Person Award or something.
Right.
It should be easy to find.
I'll actually give it to you to share in your comments if you want to. And we can.
I think we should. Yeah. Like I'll post that video later because the Urban League of Madison was something I had donated to earlier this year too. And might I say, I tried to donate without necessarily giving my name, and they tracked me down anyway and wanted to thank me. I just thought it was funny because I think I put on there just unanimously, you know, or yeah. And
like learned about them.
Yeah.
They do.
And what they do. Yeah. So we'll definitely post that afterwards. And, you know, the other thing that we were going to do other than highlight Miss Reese's accomplishments, which was, I'm so glad that you came on. We're also going to listen to a part of, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. And we decided to just take the small cut. So we're not doing the whole thing entirely, but at least it hits me and Lane's favorite part. Which is when it says all the little boys and girls of the world, right? Yeah, I love it. I love it. Makes you feel good inside. And I haven't listened to the whole thing through, like I told you, in several years. So I'm gonna do that yet today.
Before you start, it's funny because about the kids, right? We just want them to be. I put her on video because I don't want her to be afraid of it ever down the road because this is kind of where they're going, right? It's kind of that thing. Same thing with this. I made her watch.
Afraid of videos.
Not anymore, right?
Not anymore.
King Day. One of the things I think of is Ruby Bridges, and if you look her up, I think she's 67 years old.
Yeah, I just watched it.
67 years old. Although, you know, her going to school in Alabama or Birmingham, I think it was Birmingham, integrating schools, etc., that was literally less than 60 years ago. She was 58 years ago, right?
Yeah. Her story is really moving. It's amazing too when you consider, like, I don't know, the memories I have from being a child. Obviously, I didn't have the traumatic events going on when I was a child the way she did, but the way she talks about it now and the memories she has of those things and what was going on versus what was really going on. I mean, like how hardcore those issues were that were going on versus what she felt at the time. I mean, obviously she knows, she's well aware now, you know, as an educated adult, but it was like to hear her memories of the way she felt and the things that were kind of going on, man, it was really eye-opening. It should be eye-opening for adults too, you know, and to hear it through the eyes of a child, you know, yeah, big time. Cool. Well, let's play this sucker and listen attentively, and hopefully my AV works here and we can hear.
Great.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
You guys hear it?
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later,
Well, that's cool.
the life of the Negro
Color
is still
picture,
sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right now in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
That's our favorite part right there. Our children.
So all this was happening at the same time, right? Ruby Bridges story take place in 1963.
Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children be able to sing with new meaning, my country tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when the capital, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual.
This is my favorite.
Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. We are free at last.
That's pretty awesome. So that was the excerpt that we, it's a good one to end it with.
Wait,
So have you ever listened to that?
no, his birthday is today?
No, his birthday is the 15th. They always celebrate the Monday following.
Oh, okay.
Fact check, by the way. Ruby Bridges' school segregation or desegregation was in New Orleans, 1960.
60. Okay.
I made a mistake. I thought it was
and then this, from the standpoint of the, that day that we're looking at, some of the pictures of, and everything else, that was August 28th, 1963.
correct. So I was timing similar, but not. I thought they were right on top of each other.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
Hey, Randall, good to see you, man. Yeah. And
you heard that?
One of the bigger things that has always tripped me out about that day. And I went and stood, where, I don't know if you've been there, but up on the Lincoln Memorial, if you go stand there, it's carved out. I have a dream in one spot. I did the whole, you can't see it really well unless you put water on it, or whatever. And then it darkens so you can really see it well. I should have had my picture of that queued up. But when this speech happened in 1963, there was no internet. There was no cell phones. There was no Evite. There was no, anything. And he was not getting, like daily national TV coverage or radio coverage like a politician would these days, running for office today or anything. And yet all those people showed up. And
you don't think he was in the news?
I think it was in the news. I think it was probably in some local news, but they say, and I don't know, I hate when I say they, and I can't describe who they are, but they say it was majority word of mouth of, all the people who actually pilgrimaged to be there that day.
Sure.
That it was a majority word of mouth. And I would argue, even these days, you go through and you go, how many people ever show up to one event without being, really promoted to be there? I mean, so I don't know. I know that's probably one of the most minuscule points of it all. With us being in real estate and everything else, there's so many things that go along with it. I thought it was kind of cool. My 5-year-old was learning a little bit about it in school last week and everything else. And I know I have a lot more to teach and to help, because my family's 3 shades of white. So whatever, but he came home and he said, Daddy, it was this thing was bad, and I get to ride on the bus and other people don't get to ride on the bus. He doesn't get it, right? Yeah. He's 5. He doesn't understand it all yet, but it was it was good to it was good to hear him say that part, cause he'll be like, he's going to have to learn more about it, can't just ignore it. And all those good things. So, and I know we didn't want to turn this into a big, long debate online or anything like that, but Reese, I thank you again for being here. And it was cool listening to that and sharing that with people out online and whatnot. So
yeah, thank you.
That was fun.
I don't think she's ever heard it before. That's what's kind of interesting to me. I've heard that excerpt of that, my entire life, right?
Sure.
But I'm not sure she's ever heard that, at least that little condensed version of it. What is that? What do you think? What do you feel when you hear that?
I don't know.
Because again, this was 58 years ago. Still reigning true, resonating clear as a bell.
Right.
58 years later. Especially being a mixed kid. How do you think? What do you think of that? I just put her on the spot.
Well, it's a hard subject, and I bet you, from my standpoint, it's always been hard because you're worried about what other people are going to think about what you say.
Yeah.
Right. There's so much hatred and whatever centered around all of this. It makes people worried to speak about it. And I think, hey, you betcha, Randall. Thanks for stopping in, man. It makes people not want to talk about it. I know, Lane, you and I've talked about this before. It was a lot easier to talk about race after you went through after you've gone through boot camp. Once you've been in the military and you've been jammed into a very, very precarious situation with a bunch of people, and you didn't have a choice what people look like, how they look. For some people, I mean, I know the state was brought up in his speech. One of my battle buddies was from Mississippi, and there was a lot of racism where he came from. And by the time we left boot camp, you can't probably take prejudices out of people that were ingrained in for a long time, but some of his dear friends were of a different color than him by the time we left, and so that's always a good thing to see. But we're talking 18, 19-year-old kids there. I think the part of the speech that moves me the most is when they talk about little, when you brought up Ruby and how old she was. And it's like, I don't want to say that all is lost with the older generation of people that have ingrained prejudices. Not all is lost. No, it shouldn't be all lost. But for kids, that's where our hope lies. And I'll say that over and over again. It's not because I want to give up. It's not because I want to ignore stuff or not do anything about it. But I do know that generation teaches generations. And there's a hell of a lot less people in my generation teaching racial injustice and teaching racial hate today than there was when I was born. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I make the point of this is only 58 years ago. Ruby Bridges was, 62 years ago. That's not even a full generation. I don't even know what
that's great. Yeah, right. Yeah, what's the definition of a generation? Yeah, how many years?
It hasn't. My dad was grandma. Chris Reese's great grandma just passed away. Right? What was she? 92. Okay, she's 92. I've known Kristen 16 years. Known her for 16 years. Right? She was born in Germany. She was literally raised as a Hitler youth.
Wow.
I'm not lying. She can tell you stories. When she got a little dementia, a little wine.
House, she had to live.
Yeah, the bunk house. Yeah, keep going. What else she told you guys?
That's it.
All that stuff from 1945.
Yeah,
was on her front plate, right?
They had to hide.
The civil rights thing is not even that far away. Unfortunately, we have to say this. It's going to get better. It's gotten better. Schools are integrated. I always want to be careful of not to realize the progress we've had. Yes, still stuff needs to change, but as our generation, the previous generation dies off, and it's up to us to make sure these traditions and things get transferred through. That's where it starts getting.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. There isn't simple solutions to these things, and this comes back to that book I just read. This was a complex problem that was a problem created. It still is, but created over a long period of time. And those people that are really frustrated and maybe even infuriated and driven by some pretty negative emotions, that's out of frustration. We're here for a short period of time, like you just said. That wasn't that long ago, and yet we can look at some of the things that are so much better, and then we can look at things that are forever affected by that. Like even in our own industry, redlining existed, period. And it didn't exist in my past, in my family. So if somebody in my past was able to do well in real estate, for instance, in the ownership of land, for instance, in the United States, they didn't have any disadvantage that everybody else had. Whereas there was obviously entire cities, entire areas, where blacks, I'm sorry, but they didn't have those same, rights to get that land. And that land is what's generated wealth over generations.
When was redlining? When was that a big period? Early 80s, right? Or no, late 70s?
No, it was even earlier than that too, but it was along these times still, 50s, 60s, 70s.
60s, right? Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, and you could argue, even though it wasn't the letter of the law, just like even him explaining that the Emancipation Proclamation was signed 100 years before.
Right.
And here he is trying to, putting on a march in Washington, D.C., because what the Emancipation Proclamation stood for still hadn't really taken hold.
Right.
And so, describing all that time, it should frustrate us all, but it should also motivate us to just do a better job and to speed things up. I don't know. I like being a white guy, and I like that you're not, and I like that we're good friends. So I think more people should be able to get down with that and understand that. And it's easy to see. It's not taught by as many parents to as many kids. That hate that existed, it's not. But it doesn't mean that everything's all better, and it doesn't mean people need to bury their heads in the sand saying everything's all better too. I know that's a big deal. And even right now, everybody just because you're trying to, like right now, we're trying to be a proponent for Martin Luther King Jr. We're trying to promote him. That doesn't mean we're trying to take down anybody else. And I think that's a major problem with this conversation these days too. If you're pumping somebody else over here, well, who are you trying to drag down? It's like nobody. You can be a proponent for something, and you're not talking about taking somebody else down, right? So
they don't call it anybody for no reason,
right?
And on this, my favorite, because Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King, the great Dr. Martin Luther King, is full of one-liners. Right? He's got so many
amazing quotes. Yeah,
my favorite of all time is, "We must learn to live together as brothers, or perish as fools." And I like that one because it kind of speaks directly to what we learn in the Army. You can probably relate to it as well, right? You are a team. You are only as strong as your weakest link. If you have to carry him, go get his ass. Bring him down with you, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite, one-liners of his, just because it's so perfect, right? It clearly says it in one sentence, capital letter to period.
I just put it up on the screen for you there.
Yeah, right. Look at you. You had it already locked up. It's perfect.
One of my favorites as well. So, yeah. And I think it's something that was obviously, like I said, it was easy for us to grab onto when you're in the Army, and when things are life and death. And I've said this a lot of times, and people think I'm an absolute nerd when I say it. Racism would become a thing of the past real quick if we got invaded by aliens.
Yep. Right.
And I know it's kind of like a funny joke, but it's like, do you really think you'd care what color your neighbor's skin is if everybody was equally under the same amount of risk of being perished? I don't think. I don't.
All are the same, right? Do you remember the show V?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't watch all the way through, but I did watch a lot of episodes of it. It was a little freaky.
Right. But that was the thing. The aliens invaded. They looked like us. You couldn't tell the humans from the aliens because they were shapeshifters. But at the end of the day, all the humans
had to bound together.
Yep. Yeah, and to fight the alien. You're right. You're totally right.
Well, and that's why us, when we're in the military, it's like, man, they stuck us in a pit together, and they were like, here, you're all relying upon yourselves. And if you didn't rely on your person next to you, they made you hurt. Right. So, and I mean, it was quote unquote forced. But after it was forced, we all, I won't say all ever, but most of the people then after that served, they would volunteer. They would raise their hand to give their life for somebody that looks very differently from them. Whereas maybe the day they got there before that, they wouldn't. So I think that's a big deal,
Very big deal.
Hey, thanks for sharing minutes with me today, guys, and helping me honor Martin Luther King. And Reese, congratulations on your award. We'll share that video a little bit later, so I can't wait to see your quote 1 to 2 seconds that you put into it. So we'll see what it is, right? So you crashed playing volleyball. That's what I get to look out for.
Oh, and I hit the roof and then fell over.
Awesome.
I thought it was
blooper reel.
Totally.
Awesome.
Real.
All right. Well, take care, guys. Have a good rest of your Monday. Great live casting with Lane. Hey, you're gonna start doing your own little dealie, your own little podcast. What's that going to be called?
Manning the Grill.
Manning the Grill.
Manning the Grill, Wednesdays at lunch, 12 to 12:30.
All right. Well, we'll see. I can't wait to stop in for a couple of those.
3 questions, one other person, 3 questions on some topic.
Random topic while you're making lunch, while you're manning the grill, Lane Manning.
Grill, yeah. It might be a lot
of those
club sports that just drive me insane. But yeah, real estate, club sports, whatever. Just 30 minutes to shoot the cool. We could do a cooking. Oh, what?
A cooking video.
You know, we just made this. Yeah, we could do cooking. We can do cooking. We can do whatever we want.
I
Just
would
made
do
it
that.
a
You
grill.
can do whatever you want. You got the best assistant in the biz that just wants to go all out and go live and just let it rip. So you're lucky.
We do. We have some cooking videos that
Can I
we've
be
done.
your assistant?
No, I'm gonna be your assistant.
There you go.
Then it should be Reese.
I just want to see some really productive arguments with your old man online. That's what I want to see. So
Never productive.
Our arguments are never productive.
Yeah.
rock and roll. Have a good day, guys. We'll
Take
see
care.
you.
Thanks.